I spent every Christmas hating my childhood rival, until one snowy night, when he pulled me under the mistletoe and whispered, "You still think you hate me?" My heart pounded as he smirked, "Then why haven't you pushed me away?" And when his lips finally met mine, I knew, I never hated him at all. I, 34 female, grew up in a small town in Vermont. The kind of town where everybody knows your dog's name and your third cousin is also your neighbor. It was cozy, cold, and traditional. Especially around Christmas. Now, for as long as I can remember, there was this one guy, Jake. Jake, 34 male, was the boy next door. Literally. His family lived right next to ours. And for whatever reason, from the second we could talk, we didn't get along. Our rivalry started early. In kindergarten, I made a snowman, and Jake knocked it over. My mom said it was an accident. I knew it wasn't. In second grade, we both tried out for the lead in the Christmas play. I got it. He cried. The next year, he got it, and made fun of me the entire time. You get the idea. By high school, it was full-on war. Debate team? We'd tear each other apart. Track and field? We raced neck and neck. Prom? We both ended up dating people just to make each other jealous. It sounds childish now, but back then it felt serious. It felt like my whole identity was built around proving I was better than him. But we couldn't avoid each other. Our parents were friends. Our moms would plan these big Christmas parties and force us into family photos. Every damn year. And every year, Jake and I would glare at each other from across the living room while the adults laughed and drank mulled wine. When I turned 18, I moved to Boston for college and stayed. I only came home for holidays, mostly out of guilt. Every December, I'd drag myself back to Vermont, already dreading the Christmas festival and the high chance of running into Jake. And somehow, I always did. He still lived in town. He took over his dad's auto shop after college. I never asked if he wanted to. I just assumed he liked being the big fish in the small pond. Anyway, last Christmas, things were different. It had been a rough year. I had just gotten out of a messy breakup with someone I thought I was going to marry. My job was on the line because of layoffs. I felt like everything was falling apart. So when my mom called and said she needed help decorating for the town's Christmas festival, I said yes, mostly because I didn't have the energy to say no. I arrived 2 days before Christmas. The town looked the same. Snow piled up against the sidewalks, wreaths on every door, twinkling lights around every window frame. It was beautiful, but I felt cold inside. The first day, I helped with setting up lights and booths. I was trying to keep busy, not talk to anyone. Then I heard his voice. "Still hanging lights like it's 2005? I turned. There he was. Jake. Older, broader, scruffier, but still Jake. I rolled my eyes and muttered something snarky. He smirked. It began like always, sarcasm, jabs, the usual. He commented on how I still couldn't tie the light strands right. I made fun of his outdated flannel and work boots. It was like no time had passed. But that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not just the insults. The way he looked at me. Like he wanted to say something, but didn't. And the weirdest part? It didn't feel bad. The next day, the festival started. I was helping at the cider stand when Jake walked up. He was quieter this time. He asked how Boston was. How work was. If I was okay. I told him about the layoff scare, the breakup. I expected him to laugh or say something sarcastic. He didn't. He just said, "That sucks. Sorry." And that caught me off guard. Because he meant it. Later that night, after the crowd thinned out and the band packed up, I saw him again. I was walking past the giant Christmas tree in the middle of town square. That's when he stepped in front of me. I was about to make a joke or ask him to move, but he just pointed up. There was mistletoe hanging above us. Classic small-town Vermont. I laughed awkwardly. Yeah, okay, that's not happening. And that's when he leaned in, just a little. Not too close, but enough to make me freeze. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "You still think you hate me?" I felt my stomach twist. I wasn't ready for that. Not him turning serious. Not after all these years. Before I could answer, he stepped a bit closer and whispered, "Then why haven't you pushed me away?" I was frozen. Literally and emotionally. My heart was pounding, my palms were sweaty, and I couldn't look away from him. Then he kissed me. Right there, under the town tree, in the middle of Main Street. I should have pulled away. Should have slapped him. Something. But I didn't. I kissed him back. It was soft, warm, and completely unlike anything I expected. Not like a gotcha move, or a joke. It felt real. Too real. When we finally stepped back, I didn't know what to say. And he didn't push for words. He just looked at me like he'd been waiting to do that for years. I walked away in silence. I couldn't sleep that night. Everything was spinning. Did I still hate him? No. Had I ever? Maybe not. Was this real? I don't know yet. And that's where I'm stuck. Because if I'm being honest, that kiss did something to me. It cracked open a part of me I'd buried under years of sarcasm, fake hatred, and pride. Jake wasn't the villain I made him out to be. Maybe he never was. That's where I'm at now. Sitting in my childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling, thinking about a guy I spent decades hating. And I don't know what to do next. That kiss haunted me. The next morning, I woke up groggy, confused, and weirdly angry. I couldn't figure out if I was mad at him, or at myself. I tried to pretend it hadn't happened. Went downstairs, made coffee, smiled at my mom like everything was fine. But inside, my brain was spinning like a dryer on high heat. Jake didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't show up that day at the festival. I thought maybe it was just a one-time thing for him. Like a Christmas fluke. Mistletoe magic or whatever. But later that evening, I found out the truth. And it hit harder than I expected. I was restocking cider cups when my cousin Abby pulled me aside. "You'll never believe this," she said, eyes wide. "Jake's back with Melanie." I blinked. "What?" "Melanie. You remember. His ex. The one who moved to Burlington? They were on and off for years." My stomach dropped. "They're back together?" "They were making out behind the bake sale tent last night," she said. "Right after the festival. I saw it. I mean, what a mess, right?" My throat felt tight. My hands were shaking. I didn't even remember putting the cups down. All I could think about was that kiss. That damn kiss. So what was I, then? A joke? A warm-up? A mistake? I left early that night. Didn't even say goodbye. Just walked home in the snow, boots crunching like thunder, head pounding with questions I couldn't answer. I stayed up again. Staring at the ceiling. Trying not to cry, but I'm not gonna lie, I did. Not the dramatic movie kind. Just quiet, pissed off, and heartbroken in the worst way. The kind where it feels like your chest is physically bruised. The next day, I decided I needed answers. I walked into his shop. He looked surprised when he saw me. Like genuinely surprised. "Hey," he said. "Didn't think you'd cut the crap, Jake. Are you back with Melanie?" His face shifted. "Where'd you hear that?" "It doesn't matter. Just answer." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Look, it's not like that." "Really?" "Because it looked pretty real from what people saw." He sighed. "She showed up out of nowhere. We talked. She kissed me. That's it." "That's it?" I snapped. You kissed me under the damn mistletoe and then let your ex stick her tongue down your throat behind the cookie booth? I didn't kiss her. She kissed me. I just stared at him. His face. His stupid jaw. The tiny scar above his eyebrow he got from falling off his bike when we were 12. I hated that I still wanted to believe him. I was going to call you, he said. Explain everything. But I figured you'd already made up your mind. You think that makes it better? No. I think it makes it real. And that threw me off. Real? I asked. He stepped forward. I've been messing with you since we were kids because I didn't know how else to get your attention. You were always 5 steps ahead, and I was just trying to catch up. Last night wasn't a game. Then what was Melanie? He looked away. A mistake. One I didn't know how to undo. I left again. Not storming out. Just walking away. Because if I stayed, I would have cracked open in front of him, and I couldn't let him see that. But the drama wasn't over. The next night was Christmas Eve. My mom begged me to go to the candlelight service. I didn't want to, but I went for her. And guess who sat right behind me? Jake. With Melanie. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of cold in my chest. Not even from Vermont snow. Melanie looked perfect, like always. Long dark curls, red lips, designer boots. She leaned into Jake like she owned him. He didn't look at me once during the whole service. Afterward, I went outside to get air. Melanie followed me. I think you should know, she said, flipping her hair like we were in a soap opera. Jake told me everything. About the mistletoe. About you. My jaw clenched. Good. Then you know it was a mistake. She laughed. For you, maybe. But Jake? He always comes back to me. Just remember that. I didn't answer. I just turned and walked off into the snow. But in my head, I was screaming. Because I didn't want Jake to come back to me. I wanted him to stay. And I didn't know if he ever would. I didn't sleep on Christmas Eve. Again. Not because of the usual holiday chaos. But because I couldn't stop thinking about that moment with Melanie. The way she said, he always comes back to me. It kept looping in my brain like a broken record. Not because I believed her, but because I was scared I did. Christmas morning came. I stayed in bed longer than usual, ignoring texts and phone calls. My mom was downstairs playing holiday music like nothing had happened. I didn't want to fake smile through breakfast. I didn't want to pretend I was okay. But small towns don't let you sulk in peace. Around 10 a.m., Abby called me. She sounded frantic. Something happened. You need to come to town hall. Why? Just come. I'll explain later. So I dragged myself out of bed, threw on a coat, and walked into the freezing air. When I got there, Abby was standing outside, shivering. She looked spooked. Okay, so, she said, you didn't hear this from me. What? Melanie's pregnant. I blinked. What? She told Jenny. Jenny told Becca. Becca told me. But it gets worse. She's saying it's Jake's. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. Pregnant. Jake's. All I could say was, you're sure? Abby nodded. She's telling people. I don't know if it's true. But it's spreading fast. My whole body went cold. Not from the weather, this was deeper. A different kind of cold. My chest felt tight, like something inside me was closing up. I turned and walked away before Abby could say anything else. I needed space. I needed air. I needed answers. So I did something I didn't think I'd do. I walked to Jake's house. He answered the door looking half asleep, wearing a hoodie and flannel pants. His hair was messy. He looked like he hadn't showered. What the hell is going on? I asked. He blinked. What? Is Melanie pregnant? The pause was too long. I don't know, he finally said. She told me last night. I haven't had time to think. Time to think? I snapped. Jake, she's telling the whole town it's yours. I haven't even seen her in months until she came back. The timing doesn't even make sense. But you kissed her. I told you, I didn't, you kissed her, I repeated. And now this? God, Jake. He stepped forward. I haven't been with her. Not like that. Not in over a year. Then why is she lying? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, because she's trying to trap me. She always has. I just didn't see it before. We stared at each other in silence. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But this wasn't just about him anymore. It was about me. About how easily I'd let him get under my skin again. I turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist, not hard, just enough to stop me. I never loved her, he said. Not like this. Not like what I feel when I'm with you. I pulled my arm free. You don't get to say that. Not now. And I left. Later that night, I was trying to avoid the town again, curled up on the couch, when my mom sat down next to me with a look I knew too well. She handed me her phone. You might want to see this. It was a post on our town's Facebook page. Town Hall update, Jake Turner has voluntarily submitted to a paternity test. Results expected in the new year. Melanie Cooper has declined to comment. I stared at the screen. Voluntarily submitted. I didn't know whether to cry or scream. And then the final twist hit. Melanie wasn't in Vermont anymore. She had packed up and left that afternoon. No note. No explanation. No forwarding address. She ghosted the whole town. And Jake? Jake hadn't left his house since. And me? I was stuck in limbo. Between the past and the future. Between anger and something way more dangerous, hope. New Year's Eve hit different that year. Usually, the whole town showed up at the community center to dance, drink cider, and watch the midnight fireworks over the lake. This time, it felt like everyone was waiting for something else. Not the fireworks. Not the countdown. They were waiting for the results. Because in a town like ours, secrets don't stay buried. And scandal is better than cable TV. Jake had submitted a paternity test. Melanie had vanished. But her claim? Still echoing in every grocery store aisle and gas station. By 10 p.m., the community center was packed. I didn't want to go, but Abby convinced me. They're going to announce it, she said. Publicly. Why? Because Jake wants it that way. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if I wanted to find out. But I went anyway. I walked in and immediately felt the room go quiet. People were talking about me. I saw it in the way conversations stopped when I passed by. In the side eyes. In the half whispers. I found Abby by the punch table. Where is he? In the back. He's waiting for midnight. What does that even mean? Before she could answer, the lights dimmed. Someone tapped a microphone at the front of the hall. It was Mr. Levinson, the mayor. Evening, everyone, he said. Thanks for joining us for the new year. I know there's been some interest around certain rumors lately. Jake Turner has asked to address the community directly. My heart stopped. Jake walked up to the mic calm. Focused. But I could see his hands shaking. I know most of you have heard about Melanie's pregnancy claim, he said. Some of you believed it. Some of you didn't. I told the truth. But that wasn't enough. So I took the test. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a sealed envelope. I got the results this morning. He opened it. Read it. Paused. Then he said, I'm not the father. The room gasped. I felt my knees buckle a little. Abby grabbed my arm. Jake looked out at the crowd. I'm telling you this because I'm tired of lies. I've lived most of my life pretending I didn't feel the way I felt. Hiding behind sarcasm, rivalry, cheap shots. Especially toward the one person I actually cared about. He looked right at me. My heart jumped into my throat. Anya, he said, my name suddenly sounding fragile in his voice. I've loved you since we were kids. But I didn't know how to show it. I thought being your rival was safer than being rejected. And when I kissed you, it was real. That wasn't a mistake. I couldn't breathe. He stepped away from the mic and walked straight over to me. The crowd parted like he was Moses. Everyone was watching. I hated that. But I couldn't move. I'm sorry, he said softly, just for me. For not protecting what we had. For letting Melanie get in between it. For not telling you the truth the second she came back. Tears welled up in my eyes. But I wasn't ready. You hurt me, I whispered. So much. You made me feel like I was nothing. Like that kiss meant nothing. I know, he said. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life. I turned and walked out. I heard gasps, murmurs. Maybe someone tried to call after me. I didn't care. I needed out. Outside, snow was falling, light and soft, like the universe was mocking me with its peace. A few minutes later, Abby followed. You okay? She asked. No, do you still love him? That question sat in the air for a long time. I think I never stopped. Back at the hall, I heard the countdown start. 10. 9. 8. I didn't go back in. The next week was quiet. Jake didn't call. Didn't text. I think he knew I needed space. And honestly, I didn't know what I wanted him to do. Beg? Vanish? Fix it? What do you even do after a public confession like that? One afternoon, I found a box on my porch. No note. Just the box. Inside was a scrapbook. Old photos. Notes. Printouts of emails we wrote as kids. A letter I wrote him in 8th grade that I never sent. I don't know how he got it. On the last page was a handwritten note. I don't need you to forgive me. I just need you to know it was always you. Even when I was too stupid to admit it. I sat there holding that book like it was made of glass. And that's when I cried for real. Not out of anger. But grief. For everything we lost. For everything we could have been. We didn't talk for 2 months. Then one day, I got a text. I'm outside. You don't have to open the door. I just wanted to say one more thing. I opened it anyway. He stood there, in the snow, holding hot coffee. No grand speech. No drama. Just, I still mean it. And I nodded. I know. We talked. Walked. Said things that needed to be said. Cried. Laughed. Are we back together? Not yet. Maybe someday. But we're not pretending anymore. And that's a start. If you're still reading this, here's what I've learned. Love can look a lot like hate when you're scared. People make mistakes. Big ones. And sometimes, forgiveness isn't about forgetting, it's about deciding what kind of future you want. As for me? I'm not sure what's next. But I'm not angry anymore. Just, open. And that's enough for now.